sports is unpredictable. Like, I've seen a lot of things happen in the past years. I've seen underdogs shock the world, teams counted out, athletes written off, and champions fallen to their glory. But yet there's no sport does an upset hit harder than in fighting. Specifically in the UFC, where one of the greatest athletes compete with each other with one simple goal, and that is being the greatest of the sport. And some people achieve that goal, yet still fall from grace and get overthrown by an underdog. Today, we're diving into the most shocking upsets in UFC history. When I was doing research on this video, I always stumble around this particular one because it's the most popular and shocking one, and that is the Silva versus Weidman fight. Coming on that fight, Anderson Silva is the undisputed middleweight champion at the UFC at the time. He also holds a record for the most title defenses at the time and solidifying himself as untouchable and one of the greatest MMA fighters that ever step in the planet. Before Chris Weidman ever stepped into the cage with Anderson Silva, he was already an accomplished fighter. Weidman was a Division I All-American wrestler, a BJJ black belt, and an undefeated UFC contender. He had beaten names like Mark Munoz and Damian Maia, proving he wasn't just hype. On paper, Chris Weidman had all the tools to be champion. And yet, he was still the underdog. On July 6, 2013, at UFC 162, that belief was about to be tested. From the opening round, Weidman didn't hesitate. He didn't fight scared. He pressured Silva, took him down, and controlled him on the ground. Silva escaped, but something felt different. This wasn't another challenger frozen by the moment. In the second round, Silva began to do what he always did, dropping his hands, taunting, dodging punches by inches. The crowd loved it. This was classic Anderson Silva. But Chris Weidman stayed calm. He didn't chase, he didn't rush, he waited. Then it happened. As Silva leaned back with his hands low, Weidman threw a clean left hook. It landed. Silva went down. Follow-up punches sealed it. Just like that, the impossible became reality. Chris Weidman was the new UFC middleweight champion. The lesson from this fight is simple but powerful. Greatness doesn't make you invincible. Skill, preparation, and belief matter, even when the world doubts you. Anderson Silva was one of the greatest fighters ever, but confidence turned into complacency. Chris Weidman respected the moment, trusted his training, and seized his opportunity. In fighting and in life, the underdog wins when preparation meets opportunity. And on that night, Chris Weidman was ready. George St. Pierre, wildly considered as the MMA GOAT and has several accolades. He's a double champ on divisions of middleweight and welterweight and defended his belt over 9 times. But at the time, George is never considered as his status today. He was a promising fighter who just won the welterweight title against Matt Hughes. There is still one thing left have to be done, and that is to defend the title. But wait, you may be asking, I've said that he defended the belt over 9 times. Well, I'm about to explain it to you. Matt Serra, a BJJ black belt who, at the time, is fighting for a UFC contract in the Ultimate Fighter Season 4 show, and ended up winning that tournament, earning himself a UFC contract, and it comes with another prize, and that, fighting for the UFC title between who are the winner of the Hughes versus St. Pierre fight. And yet, we all know what happens then. So, fast forward to the fight, St. Pierre won the title and is now one of the best fighters in the world and is here to fight a guy who just won the Ultimate Fighter and who looks like a born baby with steroids and seen as outmatched. On April 7, 2007, at UFC 69, the expectation was clear. This was supposed to be Georges St. Pierre's first successful title defense. When the fight began, St. Pierre tried to establish control, but Serra immediately closed the distance. Early in the first round, Serra landed a clean punch that caught George off guard and starting to be unbalanced and struggles to even stand up. Sensing an opening, Serra pressed forward, continuing to land strikes as St. Pierre retreated toward the cage. Within seconds, the fight completely shifted. Serra dropped St. Pierre and followed him to the ground, unleashing a barrage of punches. The referee stepped in, stopping the fight in the first round. In one of the most shocking moments in UFC history, Matt Serra had knocked out Georges St. Pierre. The MMA world was stunned. What was supposed to be a routine title defense became one of the greatest upsets the sport had ever seen. A fighter who earned his shot through a reality show had just defeated the most promising champion in the division. But yet, George did not give up. He was given a rematch after the first one and now completely dominated Serra through powerful knees that started his streak of 9 title defenses, and after that, winning the middleweight championship without losing again. Before UFC 196, Conor McGregor was at the peak of his rise. He was the reigning UFC featherweight champion, coming off a dominant knockout of Jose Aldo in just 13 seconds. His confidence was unmatched, his popularity was exploding, and many believed he was unstoppable. Originally scheduled to face Rafael dos Anjos for the lightweight title, McGregor instead accepted a short-notice fight against Nate Diaz after dos Anjos withdrew. To most fans, this was seen as a favorable replacement. Diaz stepped in on 11 days' notice. Diaz was a veteran of the sport, tough, experienced, and known for his endurance and jiu-jitsu. But he wasn't viewed as a serious threat to McGregor's momentum. The betting odds reflected that belief. McGregor was a heavy favorite, and many expected another quick finish. When the fight began at UFC 196 on March 5, 2016, McGregor started fast. He landed clean punches, pressured forward, and appeared to be in control. In the first round, Diaz absorbed damage but remained composed, trusting his durability and cardio. The fight began to change in the second round. Diaz started landing punches in volume. A clean 1-2 combination stunned McGregor, forcing him to retreat. For the first time in the UFC, McGregor looked uncomfortable. His punches slowed, his movement faded, and his confidence began to crack. Diaz swarmed. After hurting McGregor on the feet, Diaz took the fight to the ground. As McGregor attempted to scramble, Diaz secured a rear naked choke. McGregor tapped. In a moment that shocked the MMA world, Nate Diaz had submitted Conor McGregor. The result sent a powerful message. Short notice did not matter. Size, durability, and experience mattered. Diaz's ability to withstand early damage and push the pace exposed weaknesses that had not been seen before in McGregor's UFC run. The loss would not end McGregor's career, but it forced growth. He would later adjust, avenge the loss in their rematch, and continue his rise. For Nate Diaz, the win became one of the defining moments of his career, proof that belief and preparation can overcome hype.
Hey, why spend Christmas Eve waiting for some extra fat white dude to come busting through the ceiling when you could spend Christmas Eve with yours truly, the super villain, Doom. I'll be hosting a whole night of holiday shows on Adult Swim, ho-ho-hoing and things of this nature. We have Grandma coming through on the strength. If she get here at a reasonable hour. We have a couple of scriptures from the good book, I believe. Oh, yeah. I'm your holiday host on Adult Swim. The super villain, Doom. Ho, ho, ho.